Humans have genes. Other organisms possess genes. Are there any matching homologous genes between the genes of the human genome and those of other organisms? Of course there are. And one of the reasons that we know this is because so many human genes were first discovered in other organisms. And once the structure of these genes was then studied, or the structure of the proteins, probes could be developed that would then test, now that we know what this piece of DNA looks like, or this protein looks like, do humans have any version of this? Do other vertebrates have any versions of this? Oh, it turns out that they do. So obviously, humans have homologous genes to those found in other organisms because so many human genes were found in other organisms first. This is why mutations in other organisms are studied. So why would one care about mutations in fruit flies or mutations in E. coli or nematode worms? It's because very often these genes are homologs of genes found in humans. And by understanding the effects of mutated genes, perhaps genes that don't work, then one understands what the gene normally does. And then this might give us insight into the functioning of human genes. And so when we study fruit fly mutations for eye color, like scarlet or brown or white, this is because these are mutations in ABC cassette transporters, similar to genes which have multiple functions in humans, from transporting cholesterol out of endothelial linings, or affecting multi-drug resistance in cancer cells. The same applies for other genes as well. I'm just using Drosophila as an example. Obviously, any experimental organism would contribute valuable information. By understanding what a gene and its encoded protein do in cells, one can then ask, does this gene have a homolog in humans? Does it perform a similar function? In what ways is it similar or different? One understands human genes better by understanding simpler organisms and then applying what was learned to a more complex system. One example of this is if one were to, say, order fruit fly strains that one could study in the lab. The Bloomington Drosophila Stock Center has, as part of its homepage, it's estimated that 65% of human disease-causing genes have functional homologs in Drosophila, meaning that many who are studying fruit flies actually are hoping to study their genes which humans have homologs of.